Your drawing speed is actually killing you. And for a change, I don't relate to this. I see people not producing the level of art they could produce, in volume of course, because they don't feel like it, they're tired, they're not inspired and all that stuff. And I'm not trying to be rude or anything here to single you out, but it's worth noting that this is a bit of a concern, especially now in the age of automation. But more on that later. Now, I was fortunate enough to come across productivity improving tactics, and I will lay them out for you in this video. Let's get right into it. So, number one, difficulty tolerance. A problem I see with a lot of artists is they draw when they feel like it, which I feel is BS. Unless you're a hobbyist or someone who just does it for fun, it does no good for you. I say this as someone who completes most of the artwork they draw. This is where the science comes in. Your brain has connections that track each time you do something difficult or something when you don't feel like it, and the connections strengthen each time you tolerate the difficulty for an extended period of time. The part of the brain that tracks this difficulty is called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. Now think about how many drawings you would complete despite them, not being so good or not being as good as you wanted. You automatically build a skill that is on par with animators and mangakas, which is a professional skill level. How this looks in practice is maybe practicing anatomy every day, like not every day but most of the days, maybe practicing shading more often, maybe practicing how to improve your line art more often than you would like. But this will make you outpace the person who draws when they feel like it, which is 80 to 90% of artists. Number two is blending tools. Honestly, I don't like recommending this because they kind of rob you of learning and they are shortcuts in a sense. But if you want to grow your art account, for instance, like myself, do use them occasionally, not always. And if you don't know how to use them, I'll just give you a quick breakdown. You only need to know how to use two. Blending mode, one is multiply and the second one is linear dodge. Multiply is for shading, so you have to use lighter values, and vice versa for linear dodge. Because it's lighting, you have to use darker shades, and then you can decide on the saturation you want. It's more of a preference more than anything here. Preference to what you feel like your art would look the best with. Method number three is learning flow. This tip goes very well with tip number one of difficulty tolerance. Flow follows if you can do a task for a long time without being stimulated by something else and without switching tasks. This goes very well with tip number one of learning difficulty tolerance. Flow follows if you can do a task like drawing, for instance, for a long period of time without really feeling like doing it, and doing it so often that you do reach a state of flow involuntarily. So side note, what is flow? It is a state in which when you do a task, you have very little thoughts or no thoughts, and all your attention is consumed by the task you are currently doing, right? Usually this is followed by a lost perception of time. You don't really see time flying by, and you can just pump out loads of work than you usually could. These tips are science backed, and I did learn about them from like watching Andrew Huberman on YouTube and listening to his podcast. And there is a book I read which is Deep Work by Cal Newport. You can check them out if you are interested. They are very interesting to productivity. Now, why I made this video of drawing faster is partially because a lot of people draw very slow, but again, a part of it is not being able to adapt fast or work fast is what's going to kill your competitive advantage as we go further and further into the age of automation, right? Your only tool here, your weapon, is your adaptation, and if it's done fast, it's a deadly weapon. If done slow, it's useless. For instance, if illustration was to be cut off completely, you should be able to pivot to manga very quick, like change your medium very quick, right? Because of how quick you adapt. And if that too is taken up, you could maybe switch to animation quick. And you will notice like most of these, they intersect. They are not so different from each other, and I speak as someone who has done all three. But yeah, that's it. Bye bye.